Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eat Sleep Game. My name is Luke, and this is episode 11. Fairly aptly, we're going to be talking about video game music today. Turn it up to 11 and all that nonsense. I'm extremely white.
I kind of appreciate that joke, but the delivery there, mate, that was...
Oh, yeah. No, it's because I forgot about it. I meant to lead in with it, but I forgot. So I was like, oh, fuck it, whatever. I'll just throw it in half-assed.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah. I just half-assed throw it in. It's fine. I got it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
As always, joined by Jake. How are you doing to do? Oh, God. How are you doing today, dude?
Yeah, it's normally me that the words escape, but it looks like the words are escaping you today, and that means I'm going to be on point all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm doing all right, actually. I finally got my hair cut, for the first time in a year. Nice. By an actual person. I spent all of lockdown just shaving my own hair back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, got an actual haircut now, and otherwise it's been another week really. Not too much has gone on. How about you though? Yeah. How have you been?
I'm quite tired today, but in hindsight, a lot has come out and needed doing and stuff like that in the last week or two. Game releases we had Nier, which I put the video out for. We had Returnal, which I put the video out for, and then just work and stuff like that. So feeling it today, quite tired today, but fairly good otherwise. As I said, I've been playing. I can't remember if I talked about Nier last time. I think I did.
I don't actually remember. Anyway, I mean, what's your quick impressions on it so far?
I really like Nier at the moment. So I kind of understand more what it is. It's a weird one because it's not quite a remake or a remaster. It's a kind of touched up version of a game that didn't come out here. It's the version of the game that only came out in Japan, so it's like the true version of the story, whereas the original Nier that came over here was Americanized to fit the audience a bit better.
Oh, okay.
So this is more of the original.
Yeah.
The original vision, from what I understand. But no, so far I'm enjoying it. I think the combat's good. It looks a bit dated visually, but it looks like Nier.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much connective tissue there is between Replicant and Automata, but I think the disease or whatever equivalent they're using in the game is what wipes out the population, which potentially does then lead to there were aliens and stuff like that led to Nier Automata. So it's some kind of connective tissue.
Yeah, it's kind of like the connection between Ico and Shadow of the Colossus is it's there, but it's also completely non-existent.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I've played about 8 hours so far.
Yeah.
And most of that I've been running around doing some little side quests because I'm trying to get some money to get a new sword. But the side quests are all just fetch quests.
Yeah.
They are all literally just could you pick up this from the shops for me and I'll pay you, or you'll get me some mutton or stuff like that.
See, this is why I didn't like Monster Hunter, actually. It felt like that. That's exactly what that game felt like to me. It was just a go and do this and come back and now go and collect some tail and come back, but make sure you collect a million of that tail.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, part of me quite likes it because they're there to boost your finances, sort of thing. They're not necessarily there to give you any narrative heft, so you can just leave it to the side, sort of thing, and press on.
It's really odd to me because I was actually all right with Monster Hunter when it was on PSP.
Okay, yeah.
But was it PSP or Nintendo? Actually, I can't remember. Probably Nintendo feels more right. Yeah. On a handheld device is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, playing the PC version of it just felt wrong.
Yeah, so Monster Hunter World was the first one I tried, and Well, I enjoyed it for a bit, but it never quite clicked with me.
Yeah.
And I think that is just because it didn't have really a story to speak of.
Yeah, it literally is. It's just fetch. It's go and fetch, go and fetch.
Yeah, like go kill this thing, bring back whatever part of it. Yeah. Otherwise, I've played, I think, about 2 hours of Returnal, which I'm also really liking at the moment. There have been a couple of issues, like technically, there's been like some crashing and some like people getting stuck because doors weren't open. I haven't had any of that yet, but then I haven't played a lot of it so far. But so far it's very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Just everything feels great. It doesn't have a photo mode, which bothers me because it is a pretty game. It's a really pretty game. It was a bit odd that I was expecting.
I thought most games sort of just come with photo mode these days.
Yeah, no, not really. Weirdly, not really. Like maybe half do.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a mod for it at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll update it. But that is also very good at the minute. I'm still in the intrigue part of playing it because, like I said, still very early in. Still don't really know where the story's going to go. There's like this. Her house kind of appears, and there's a kind of spectral astronaut that's creeping her out. It's kind of very Doctor Who sort of thing.
Oh, nice. To be fair, the astronaut, like the Doctor Who astronaut thing, I really enjoyed those episodes.
Yeah, that was a great series. Yeah. That was an awesome one. So, very, very curious. I'm actually going to go play some more after this. I'm going to chill with my dog and play some of that. Have you been able to play much at all recently?
Not so much. It's been a little bit busy lately. I don't even know if busy is the right word. I've been a little bit drained. Been doing a lot lately, and then just been monging out, I guess. I given up on my run through of Resi 6. I just can't do it. I mean, I think I've probably got about halfway through Leon's campaign, and then just went nope. It's not happening anymore. So I am going to be jumping into Resident Evil 7 probably tomorrow, actually, because as you reminded me, this Friday the Village comes out, and
yes,
I need to get myself caught up. It's as simple as that, and I reckon it being a Resident Evil game, I could probably bash it out in like a good maybe 8 or 9 hours. I don't know how long the story is actually supposed to be, but hopefully I'll be able to run through that with Rach, because she quite enjoys watching horror games being played. I don't think she so much enjoys playing them. I tried to get her to play Outlast once, and I mean, before she even got to the first jump scare in it, she put the controller down.
So 7, just mainlining the story, is about 9 hours.
9 hours. Okay. Well, I reckon I could do that though. Like two.
So I mean, to be fair, Resident Evil 2 is supposed to be the 2019 one. Is meant to be 8.5 hours, and you did it in like 5, didn't you?
Oh, my first run through was between 5 to 6 hours. But again, like I although it does feel very different to playing it on the on the old PlayStation version, you still got some background knowledge in your head, and you kind of know what to expect a little bit. For sure. Obviously, me going into 7 is going to be completely blind. I literally know nothing about that game. And playing a Resident Evil game in first person mode as well is something.
That would be very different.
Weirds me out. I'm actually really not that much of a first person gamer. Like I prefer the third person view. And I don't know, especially like create a character games.
I was just thinking that.
How am I going to spend hours building a character and then be in first person and never see him?
That's one of the things, apart from everything else, that really bugged me about Cyberpunk, because you can make a really cool looking character and then you go in first person. It's like, but you can see it in reflections and photo mode. It's like, but I want to see it in action.
Kind of funny. Every week, right, even though that's just like a real passing comment, every week I feel more and more glad that I never bought that game.
I'm thinking that so my new PC should be, I think they said it's about a month away.
Yeah.
Because they're going through December orders at the moment. So that might be, depending on how far I've got. So I'm going to start doing, I've said that I'm going to finish either Returnal or Nier, and then have one of those two on the back burner while I run through BioShock and then Fable.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that after that, my PC should be about here. And if it is, then Cyberpunk may be the video I do after that.
Fair
so I feel
play.
like it's...
I feel like Fable's more important, but...
Oh, yeah, Fable's before that. That's
Yeah.
Fable's definitely more important. But I don't know, it feels like it might be a good time to... talk has kind of settled down on it a bit. No one's really talking about it anymore.
Probably is time to give it an opportunity.
Yeah. And it might even be one I like record and stuff like that. I just hold until they're like, yeah, no, the next gen patch is coming out, because then there'll be buzz about it. People will be looking into it. Is it actually good now? And
yeah,
that could be a good time to strike. But we'll see. I'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we actually get there. Still got a fair amount of time. We've still got a load of games coming out. We've got Ratchet and Clank coming out soon. Man, like, it's such a busy time for games at the moment. So like you said, we got Resident Evil on Friday, and I'll be doing a one of my first impression hour playthrough thingies, which will probably be fun because I haven't played. Resident Evil 3 would have been the last one I played, but I haven't played 7 either. So proper first person horror game. Hopefully it's going to ship me up a bit.
Wait, you haven't played 7?
I haven't played 7, no.
And you're going to jump straight into the village?
Just for the first hour, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Just the first hour.
And then you're going to go back and play 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah.
And also,
because I already know how they link, sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess that's a thing. But like, I really feel like you should experience every single game and all of the spin-offs.
Oh, I want to. I bought a lot of them not too long ago on a Steam sale. I don't think I've quite got all of them though. I was looking up like what the best order to play them is, as in canon wise, to get like the whole story.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But then like Metal Gear kind of made me be like, well, fuck it. Metal Gear's completely out of order, so it doesn't really matter what way. Because sometimes, so like for instance, we talked about how I played the Arkham series in the wrong order at first, because I bought them in the wrong order.
Yeah.
I potentially benefited more going from Arkham City to Arkham Asylum, sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, that's what he was referencing in that sort of thing. But then, yeah, it's hard to say because it's not like they were small like connections that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows?
Just while we're on the Resi subject, and I promise I'm not going to steer us too far off course, I'm actually oddly looking forward to Reverse, which is the multiplayer mode that's coming out with it. Now, I know Resident Evil and multiplayer, they've tried so many different things over the years. And they should have always just done mercenaries. If you play some of the older games, like Resi 4, mercenaries on that game is addictive as hell. It's a really fun game mode. But actually, I've oddly enjoyed all of the multiplayer games that they put out. It's just people don't stick with them. Obviously, there's reasons people don't stick with them. They're never like fully polished. But I always quite enjoy like giving their multiplayer games a bit of a go. I'm just hoping they've put a little bit more effort into Reverse and people actually get involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, with their multiplayer stuff, it just feels like they're chasing trend instead of finding an identity of their own. So like the last one was a Dead by Daylight kind of clone.
Yeah.
From what I saw of it anyway. I didn't touch it because it's not my kind of thing. Same with Reverse. I don't actually know what its if it's again the same sort of thing, if it's a clone of X game or whatever they are actually doing with it. But I'm sure we'll find out very soon. I think it is really cool that they are, GTA Online and that kind of thing, and it's it comes with the game, even though it is separate. You are kind of getting two games for one sort of thing. I do really like that.
I honestly, I just think they should just do Mercenaries. Again, I'm assuming you haven't played Mercenaries mode on any. Yeah, it's literally you just get chucked in a segment of the game, and there's multiple segments that you can get chucked in, and you just go around killing zombies. The aim is to kill as many as you humanly can. You collect. There's a timer that goes down. You collect more time as you run around the map.
Right.
And the idea is to just get the highest score you possibly could. Me and my mates, back when we were younger, used to spend hours upon hours trying to beat each other's scores, unlock the next character, because that's another progressional thing in it. You start off with the base characters of the game, and then as you keep going, you unlock more characters to play as.
That would be so cool if that was a side thing that they did just keep updating with each new game. So that in this one you'd have the big lady vampire.
Yeah.
That you could unlock eventually.
It really felt like it was something that was going to add to every game. I mean, you had it in 4, and then you have it in 5, and then you just say goodbye to it, even though the fans of the series really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I guess it's just very Capcom, isn't it? It's like once you start really enjoying it, throw it away and then bring it back 20 years later. Yeah,
I mean, let's have a look. What does Reverse actually look like? Resident Evil Reverse. Action game, yes. Cool, got that. Gathered as much. Let's go Steam.
Do you know what? I've got to be honest, because I've not really looked into what this one's going to be like. So it's a death match, essentially. Which is exactly what it looks like here. So basically, you just choose your favourite characters and go around and shoot each other.
So Dead by Daylight then?
Yeah, in third person mode. I don't think this one's so Dead by Daylight. Right,
okay, it is 6 again. Just everybody fighting each other.
Yeah,
it's kind of old, GoldenEye.
Check actually, because Dead by Daylight have their team up with
Silent
Resi.
Is it actually Resi, is it?
Yeah, so Dead by Daylight is doing a Resident Evil update, and I can't remember when it is. Got to be at some point. Cool. Anyway, because it's an anniversary of some form.
Yeah. This just looks really generic.
Yeah.
Reverse. I'm looking at the trailer on Steam, and it just...
Oh yeah, but the thing I like about this one as opposed to the last one they released, and I said I wasn't going to go into too much of a tangent with this. No. Here we are, but
I mean, it's coming out this Friday, so it's an apt time to talk about it.
They're actually using characters from the game, from the games, plural, I should say. So that adds a level of interest, whereas Resistance. It was just a bunch of random dudes that he was playing as. I'm like, so I don't care about these people.
So I would personally, if I was making this, I'd do a Call of Duty Zombies kind of thing, and have it just be wave based, and then after X amount of waves, you get to a wave boss. So you get to 5 waves, you get a wave boss.
That's kind of what they did with the online play of Resident Evil 6, which actually oddly I thought had a bit of potential, because it was I guess it was a bit of a mix of Left 4 Dead, because you could come into someone else's game and become a special infected as such, and just invade and try and kill the other player off, and the other player's just going through killing hordes of zombies, making his way through a route. Just to rack up points to get on a scoreboard, basically, is how I remember it. I could be wrong. Again, I didn't spend too much of my life on 6 because it was a bitter disappointment.
Yeah. I don't blame you there. I haven't played it at all. I'm quite fortunate. I've only played good ones.
Yeah.
So I've only played like 2, well, 3. Like 3 is fine. It was just disappointing.
Yeah.
I played 4, about to play 8 and 7.
You know what is good about the Resident Evil games?
Yep.
The save room music.
That is quite fun.
That stuff sticks in my head, like,
It does.
since I was a little kid. It's still in there.
Which is the same save room music the same across all the games, or does it differ?
It's not.
between
It's
games?
similar. And there's a few differences. I think, like, as you get further through, it does change quite a bit. As far as I remember, but
Yeah.
it just sticks in my head. Like the one I'm probably particularly talking about is from the PlayStation era of the games, where it sounded like trash. But yeah, no, it's just like a little jingle, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes you feel. It kind of makes you feel safe, but at the same time, like makes you feel a little bit on edge at the same time. So
I really one bug I had with Resident Evil 2 in the safe rooms is I really wish they fucked with one of them.
yeah,
Just one. Where you thought you were safer, then Mr. X like kicks the door down and comes in.
yeah. It's just like,
I thought that would have been really cool.
Wagwan, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Just completely catches you off guard and fucks with just one, and it's like a predetermined one. It's not actually a safe room. It's just it's a fake safe room.
Yeah.
That is a good segue though. So, as said, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite. This is kind of a double header. So this week and next week are going to be very audio related. So this week we are talking specifically about music and soundtracks for video games, and some of our favorites and why they're important to those games. And then next week we're going to talk more about sound design, because while they all are audio related, they are two very different things. One is obviously just like background music and stuff like that. Sometimes they can be a bit more than that. And the other is, atmospheric stuff. So it's really annoying because I've wanted to talk about this subject for a very long time. And we've been trying to get a guest on the Game for All podcast, which hopefully will be still happening soon-ish, to cover this. And I really want to talk about it because, I watch like the Game Awards and stuff like that. And the most infuriating part about every single one of them that I've seen is that the video game music awards and all the mentions and stuff like that is always on like a pre-show. And it's always just like, this person won the award for best music in video game. Cool, move on. It's like, no, music is so important in video games. It's one of those where like, if the music is bad, like it kind of dampens the rest of the experience if you don't know the music and the audio.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that statement. Sometimes audio or music doesn't even matter to a game. Like I can think of countless games that I've played over the years, and I can't remember a
for sure.
single bit of music from them.
Sure.
And in fact, actually, this is the last time I'm going to say the word Resident Evil today, but other than the save room music, I don't remember a single. And again, I love these games. I've played the shit out of them.
Yes.
Sound design I could talk about for a long time about them, but actual music, can't remember any.
No, I mean, I think that's more of a clever design choice as well, though, because you don't want the music in there. You want the silence. You want to hear all those little, if there's someone else knocking about, you want to hear the creepy footsteps or something like slithering along sort of thing.
That's it.
So, yeah, absolutely. In some cases, music can also be detrimental or just not needed at all. And I guess that is part of it as well, because there are some games where it does both. It uses music very well, and then it knows when to just have complete silence, so all you can hear are your surroundings to creep you out. But on the subject of music and our favourite songs and stuff like that, what game comes to mind when you think of great video game music or great soundtrack overall for a good video game?
So I can certainly think of quite a few off the top of my head, but I think the first thing I really want to mention is Final Fantasy X specifically.
Okay.
Now, Final Fantasy games have always had like really, really amazing tunes.
Yeah.
The composer, I'm not going to say his name because one, I'll butcher it, and two, I feel like I'm remembering it incorrectly anyway. But he has a metal band called Black Mages, and they do covers of the music from Final Fantasy games. So he covers his own music in a metal way, and it sounds sick. Like, it honestly sounds sick. But there's a couple of bits of music from Final Fantasy X that always, like, I guess from like being a kid, like, I always just remember them, and just, I'll be randomly sitting there sometimes. It comes into my head. So one of the tracks is called Tazanican, which it's the opening song in the game. Like, once you push the start button, you go into it. This piano piece starts playing, and throughout the entire game, you get little motifs of it, and there's like when things are feeling a bit sad and dampened down, it sort of like comes back in, but it's got like this weird sort of like almost uplifting feeling to it as well. And it's just a piece of piano music, composed like really beautifully, but it is literally impaled in my brain. Like, even just talking about it now, I can hear it, because I actually do. I know how to play parts of it as well. Not fully, not properly. Man, I am not a piano player. But I can play bits of it as well, and it's like talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, and this is how I'd play it on a bloody keyboard. But
yeah,
is always. It almost feels like it's always been in my head.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say.
So his name is Nobu Uematsu.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm so glad you actually brought him up, because he actually composed Final Fantasy VII's One Winged Angel as well. And when you said Final Fantasy, my head, I had a similar thing where you say Final Fantasy and the opening to Final Fantasy VII starts playing in my head.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those, even just sitting on the that splash start screen.
Yeah.
And hearing that music rise.
And it's there, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's just it gives me goosebumps just hearing it, especially the newer version in Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
I'm obviously far more tied to that than I am the original.
Yeah.
But either one is, like you said,
there's something to be
just
said.
to mention, I can hear it.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the way the original music was made in the older games. I mean, look, it's amazing listening to music, through full orchestral playing, which the Final Fantasy games lend themselves to, but also hearing like this almost chip-tuney, like it kind of like, I guess the orchestral version in the newer game makes you really immersed in what's going on, and then like the older version makes you know that you're in a game. You are playing a game right now. I mean, I could pick absolutely any Final Fantasy game, because Final Fantasy VIII, which is my favourite of them as well, I can hear that soundtrack, the Balam Garden theme, which is like your main like homestead in the game, I guess. That shit is again impaled in my head. I just hear it. But
I mean, Japanese games just really get the use of music, I think. Because going from Final Fantasy, I'm going to take it over to Nier.
Yeah.
So like I say, I'm playing Nier Replicant at the minute, and it shares some music with Nier Automata as well, which is one of my favorite games and game soundtracks out there. And it just uses it so well. They use it. You could probably turn the dialogue off and subtitles off, stuff like that, and get an idea of how the conversation is going, how the situation is, just based on the music that's playing. And there are just some that I say Nier Automata, and I immediately go to there's a bit where you go to like a theme park kind of area, and the music for that bit just instantly plays in my head.
It's amazing
every single time.
That piece of music is fantastic. I have the same thing. Like when you say Nier Automata, even just in general, that's actually the segment of the game I always instantly remember.
Same. It's such a cool bit.
Yeah,
because then that leads into like the forest, and you find in the robots in the forest that have got like a little community and stuff like that. Very cool game. But then like even stuff like Journey, for instance. Journey is so intrinsically tied. Like its music had to be good, otherwise it just wouldn't work for the game.
Yeah.
And like again, it's one of those where you say Journey. If you play Journey, you instantly go to that bit where you're sliding through the sand dunes, and then you slide under this like arch bit, kind of inside of a building, and like you're sliding along. You can see the sun setting, and the music just booms. It's just an incredible bit of the game.
Kind of wish I'd played Journey now, because anything that sort of works like that, any sort of game that works like that. Another game I know that runs heavily on its music intertwined with its gameplay that I've not played, but I've heard the soundtrack countless times, is Celeste.
Oh mate, yeah.
Everything about that soundtrack is just great. I just stick it on and I just listen to it, and it makes me want to play the game. What's the reason I haven't played the game? I'm not a big fan of 2D scrollers like that. That is as simple as it is, but I feel like I should play the game because I've listened to the music enough times. But,
I mean, context to it would be, I think, just take it to that next level. No, Celeste soundtrack's fantastic, and it does a lot.
Oh, it's beautiful, start to finish, and even actually, one of my favourite tracks from the Celeste soundtrack is a track that they actually binned from the game. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it basically it was an unreleased song. It was one that didn't go into it. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to it. I'm like, why? why has this not gone into it?
Yeah, that's odd as well, because when you finish the game, you can go back through it and do. They call it the B-sides, which are like harder versions of the level. So you can go back through.
See, so I didn't know that. So maybe that's why it's listed the way it is. So maybe it is a B-side, or the B-side's just the same music and you're just doing the same thing.
I don't actually know, because I didn't do that. I found it hard enough. I was like, no, I finished it, I'm good.
I mean, that would explain, and that's obviously the whole thing is very musically orientated. The girl who composed it is really, really good. I think I can't remember her name, so I'm not going to try and go into it too much. But yeah, she's just done some really, really great tracks.
No, I don't want the actual artist.
yeah. Hang on.
It's bringing me a British artist that I've never heard of.
100%.
Lena Raine.
Yeah, Lena Raine. That is definitely it. She's just good, all round good.
She did Sackboy.
Yeah. So I actually wound up
and Steven Universe. Holy shit!
Yeah, I actually wound up going through her discography on Spotify and just listening through what's there. And so much so, she's just become an artist that I listen to fairly regularly now. Which is great. And also that track I was on about is on the B-sides. So I guess...
okay.
Yeah, I guess there was a alternate version in the game of the music. So it's called Golden Ridge, the Golden Feather Mix. So I assume Golden Ridge is an original track in it, and then Golden Feather Mix is a remix of it. Anyway, yeah, Celeste.
Fair.
Need to play it.
Yeah, Celeste is fantastic. It is fantastic. I think it's on Game Pass, so that might be one you could potentially have a when you do finish up what you're playing. You can have a wee gander at that one.
You have a growing list of reasons why I should get Game Pass.
Yeah. I'm going to go very different now. Because it's one you brought up that I hadn't actually thought of at the time. Because, again, this is all just kind of off the top of our heads. Obviously, you need to talk about Doom. Because it's Doom. And its soundtrack is just stellar. Doom... I'm talking up to Doom 2016.
Yeah.
Because I played some of the early ones. I love the original Doom soundtrack. Which it's kind of the same as the 2016 version. It's just, 2016 version has been remixed and updated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it just so very good, and it fits not only the attitude of the Doomslayer in that all the story and stuff like that is just push ahead. It fits the game so well because it gives you that driving force, because the game is very much you have to keep moving, otherwise you're going to die. Like, you need to keep pushing forward. And that's something the developers talked about a lot. Like, they want you to keep pushing forward. They don't want you to stand still and shoot things. They want you to keep going. And the music helps a lot with that, because it gets your blood pumping. It gets you all hyped. And it is one I listen to quite often, just in my car sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just so tasty. Such a great one. I like the Doom Eternal soundtrack, but I don't think it's as good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's partially because I don't think Doom Eternal is as good personally. But hi-ho, it is still a good one, and it still does fit pretty well.
Oh yeah, straight up. I mean,
but
it's just
Doom Eternal
heavy.
is just kind of the... Sorry, go on.
It's just heavy. It's like you say,
it is.
Gets you like in the mindset for that game.
As
soon as that starts playing,
and
you're like, I'm ready to mow down some bitches.
Yeah, and it's one of those as well. It's like it perfectly like tails off once you finish the section. You finish killing everything, and it's always hectic. But then you finish the section, the music like fades out nicely in the same sort of way that you're kind of exhaling. You're like, cool, I'm done.
Yeah,
sort of thing. I catch my breath now. And the music does the same thing. It's almost like the music's like, whew, cool. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's move on now, sort of thing. Doom is just fantastic. I'm very, like I said, even though I wasn't a huge fan of Eternal, it's still a very good game, and I still think they could do some really cool, very cool things with 3.
Yeah.
Whatever they're going to do with 3, especially now with all the Microsoft money. Very, very curious to see what they're going to do with 3, because Eternal was a bit more story driven, which was something I didn't like.
Yeah.
It didn't quite feel the same, and there was platforming that just did not feel good to me.
This is totally unnecessary.
Yeah, and there's one enemy that is just very spammy, and just he's cool in his lore because he used to be a Doomslayer, but then he'd like switch sides for some reason.
Yeah.
But as an enemy, he's just shit. He's just a big spammy dude, and you've got a very small chance of like doing damage to him in very specific ways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's annoying in that regard.
It's all just sick music anyway.
It is.
So I think a lot about Metal Gear for music as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got great music. Again, another Japanese game with a fantastic soundtrack, like throughout the entire series. But specifically, and I always remember this because they clearly wanted to sort of take Big Boss in a bit of a almost James Bond-esque super spy sort of direction. Yeah. Anyway, there's a fantastic scene when you're climbing up a ladder. And that song just...
The second you said Metal Gear, I knew this was where you were going.
And that bit of music kicks in, and I've never enjoyed climbing up a ladder more than the first time I heard that bit of music, because that song is sick. It is solid James Bond, like, that is a James Bond opening soundtrack song.
Yeah.
Plastered
absolutely
in the middle of one of my favourite games. I'm a big fan of James Bond, old and new. I actually really love the direction they took Bond, as opposed to
same.
quite a few people who got a bit upset with the way it took a step away from Super Gadget. But anyway, the one thing that sort of remained true throughout all of the films are these amazing belters of songs. And Metal Gear Solid 3 uses it ridiculously well for a scene that never needed to exist, but I am glad existed. And it also, the songs used in Metal Gear Solid 5, I don't know whether you actually got that far through the game.
Oh, no. Not massively, no. I think I got like maybe halfway, but it's hard to tell because you just get to a part and it's just repetitive. Yeah,
but the songs used again in that, and actually I quite enjoyed. I don't know. No, the scene it's used in Metal Gear Solid 5, you're sat in the car with Skullboy, whatever his name is, Dickhead, and it might be. It might be one of the ones that was in the trailer as well, because there were a lot that were used in the trailer and the game. Yeah. So it may well be one I've seen, just not actually played through. Yeah, no, you just sat in the car with like the big bad of the game for a little while, and it's sort of like playing in the background as you're driving along, and you can just pan around and get a good look at your main enemy. And I just thought it was a good use of it, and it was a good throwback in a game that was full of throwbacks.
Yeah.
But great track. Again, that's another one that still lives in my Spotify playlist. Doesn't come on that often, mind, but when it does, it does.
Yeah. I mean, Metal Gear is a great point to play on for a second, because the music that plays when you get spotted is so like it gives you so much tension. Yeah. Because it's weird. It's what it is. It plays. It's like, oh shit, he's right on my back. I need to run, sort of thing.
So that's music being used as sound design as well. So this is where the two things like really cross over. The Metal Gear franchise uses that fantastically throughout your entire like alert phase. So you got the first instance where you're noticed, and you get the little gunshots. And then the music kicks in, and then you enter the red alert phase, and the music's like really hyper tense, and you're like, oh shit, man, I've either got to fucking murder everyone, or I've got to escape this. And then if you choose the escape option, as you start hiding, as you move down through the alert phases, the music calms down for each different alert phase until it reaches the end, and you get like a little flatline sound, and then the music stops.
Very, very cool.
Music as sound design.
I've always loved that. I really hope the rumors of like a Metal Gear 1 remake is true.
Yeah, mate.
Or Metal Gear Solid 1 remake is true. I just really hope they don't change any of the music.
Yeah,
because the music is pretty much perfect as it is.
I can't imagine
update the voice acting and stuff, but
I don't even know if it. Maybe remaster it, but. I don't
it'd be more of a visual and gameplay overhaul, I think.
Like, so, I mean, music-wise, like that, they really like. No, because even, or maybe I'm thinking. I know I'm saying a lot of things that make no sense right now, because I'm trying to I'm having a conversation with my mind, and it's clearly not coming across over the microphone. But anyway. I'm trying to work out whether I remember it the way it was in the game, or if I remember it in other ways that I've heard it played out.
Yeah.
So I might have to go back.
Because obviously they have kind of they've re-released soundtracks and stuff like that for anniversaries and that.
Yeah.
So there are probably newer versions that they could probably just use, to be fair, in that game as well, rather than having to make it again potentially.
Yeah.
Sticking on like big. Very, very good games. Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 have both got incredible scores and incredible music. And they balance both having the incredible score and the licensed music incredibly well. Red Dead Redemption 2 in particular, there are a couple of times where you're kind of... it's like a reflecting drive, well, not drive, but it's like a reflecting ride to your next location sort of thing. And you're just taking everything in that's happened, because it's normally after like a big story beat.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's quite unique. I haven't, experienced anything quite like that in video games.
I mean, I know I've still got a lot of Red Dead 2 to play through, so I've not experienced all of that yet, but like exactly what you're talking about, the real standout, especially within that franchise, is it actually in Red Dead 1 when you're on the way to Mexico and you're listening to Jose Gonzalez.
Yep. Exactly.
Can't remember what the song's called. But anyway, it's by Jose Gonzalez. And, mate, straight up wasn't expecting it. Knew it was him as soon as it started playing. Because I played Red Dead 1 for the first time properly and actually completed it probably about maybe 2 years ago. So maybe three years ago at this point. I don't know. Time escapes me. But, yeah, man, like that ride... Just listening to that track, I was like, man, it was just sick. Yeah. Rockstar and music's always been a...
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think Grand Theft Auto, it tends to be more like for the radio and stuff like that. While, there are good...
I think they chose the songs well, though, in every single
100%,
game.
100%. Yeah, 100%. The radio stations are always very, very good. I kind of wish they had, there were... like a definitive Rockstar playlist sort of thing, rather than
be
just having to pick one.
Do you know what, actually, I remember back when I used to Pirate Bay all the time, I had a hard drive full to an external hard drive full to the brim of music, and people had actually uploaded the full radio stations. So like one of the radio stations I used to really enjoy listening to back on San Andreas was K-Rose, which is like the country one.
Oh, sure.
I don't know what it was about. I mean, in part, it's the hosts. Yeah, I thought K-Rose probably had some of the funnier hosts, in my opinion. But the music as well was sick. But yeah, no, I had them all downloaded. I used to literally listen to the radio stations whilst not playing that game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I always used to like the more talky ones because they were just really funny.
Yeah.
They would talk about really stupid subjects, or they'd come across on news with like something that had just happened, like in the game storyline sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I always found really, really interesting.
Yeah. See, Spider-Man tried to do that, didn't it, with JJ?
Did, yeah.
But I actually think it fell short with that.
Yeah, I do as well a little bit, because it felt it almost felt too scripted. Yeah, because like in Grand Theft Auto, you could completely miss it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you didn't listen to that radio station, you could just completely not. But this, you didn't really have it. You could turn them off, I think, in the settings. But if you had it on, it will just pop up when relevant to the story, sort of thing. It wasn't something you could just miss. So 100% get you, 100% with you on that one. I mean, again, Spider-Man's actually a pretty good place to take this as well, because
nailed the first game. I've still not played Miles Morales properly, but I mean, I heard where he stood on the train for a while, like in the loading screen, like that was a cool use of music there. But I need to cough.
Oh, good. It's
that's better.
No, but both of them are fantastic.
They nailed it, man. Like you just come.
They do. They absolutely do.
Like
it feels like, it does feel same ilk as like the movies had before, or like the Avengers theme tune sort of thing. It does feel like it's taken straight off of the big screen sort of thing.
It just felt triumphant. I really.
It did.
Yeah, you take it really big ass swing, and you've got the violins in the background sort of coming in, like just really quietly, and then it gets louder, and the voicings of those the soundtracks to that first Spider-Man game anyway. It was just sick. Really sick. Mate, I felt like Spider-Man. I was immersed.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I actually prefer Miles.
Yeah.
I think it is just more because while the Spider-Man one does feel very superhero-y, Miles's feels more tailored to the character.
Yeah.
And his so it does have a bit more of a hip-hop tinge. It does the same when you kick off to start web slinging. It does that, but it's got it's got bass to it, and it's got a nice beat to it and stuff like that.
I think you've got a lot to thank the film for. Yeah,
100%.
Because Miles' character, I mean, I've liked like the comics. The Spider-Man comics are cool. Specifically, actually, at the moment, I really like I've not read any for a long time, but the Spider-Gwen ones, they're awesome. But
oh yeah, I love Spider-Gwen.
Miles, for me to begin with, was like a bit of a dry character in the comics, and as time went on, he started to get cooler and cooler, and then Into the Spider-Verse came out, and I think it rewrote his character in like a really good way. But yeah, no, I mean, the music from that film was sick and spot on. So if they've taken any level of influence from that, then
they absolutely did. So there's even a licensed track specifically for it. So the way that what's it called? Is it called Sunshine or something like that for Into the Spider-Verse? By
Swally.
Is it? No, not Post Malone.
Yeah, it was Post Malone and Swally, wasn't it?
It was Post Malone.
Sunflower.
Yeah, they've got a couple for Miles, but the kind of pinnacle of it is Jaden Smith, and is it My Time? I think it's called. It's just a great song because it fits the theme of the game so perfectly, because a lot of the theme of the game is Miles not feeling like he's ready, not feeling like Spider-Man. And the song is about like it being his time and him like actually fitting that mold and stuff like that. Is that actually the right song? I think I'm thinking of a different song.
No, I mean, I guess it sounds right. I was,
because there are two and they are kind of similar.
I was skeptical when you said Jaden Smith.
It is actually a really good song.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to hear it to believe.
Oh no, sorry, it's called I'm Ready.
Okay.
So there is another one that's My Time.
Yeah.
Which again, similar thing, but the main one that's used in like marketing and stuff like that is the Jaden Smith, and is it Kid Cudi?
Kid Cudi? Oh mate, I used to love Kid Cudi.
I love Kid Cudi. Yeah. He's a good boy. But again, they both fit so well because it reflects kind of what's going on in Miles's head throughout the game as well.
Yeah.
Again, man, I'm so excited for wherever that series goes next, because one, the music's going to be awesome, and two, the games are just going to be fun at the very least.
Yeah.
It's a fun mix in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to diverge this a little bit. I'm going to go. God of War has an incredible soundtrack.
It's not got played such them.
Have you not played God of War?
I played the one that was on PS2. I don't remember.
Oh, I'm talking like 2018.
Yeah.
I want to say 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, beats me, mate.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
Because when I talked about like Nier telling as much of the story through its music as it does through like dialogue and stuff like that, God of War is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like the music is just incredible. It's done by a guy called Bear McCreary, who's done I think most recently I saw he did like, I don't know if he did it for the most recent Godzilla movie, but he did the music for the second Godzilla movie, if I remember correctly, and it is just incredible. It's very it's kind of instantly recognizable as being him as well.
Yeah. See, now that's
he has talent.
Got like musically, that is a talent.
Yeah. Because all the way through it, I was like, this music, like, I don't know, it's reminded me of something. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And then like as the end credits come out, I was like, oh shit, that's why. Bear McCreary. But it accompanies everything that goes on in the game so incredibly well. I'm pretty sure I've got God of War on disc. I'm gonna have to send it over to you at some point, because it is one of the best games ever made.
Oh, nice.
Like, I struggle for last gen what was better, whether it was Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 or God of War, and they're always swapping positions because they are just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
On slightly kind of similar but in a different way, there's a it's not Crypt of the Necrodancer I want to talk about. It's a spin-off of it. It's the Legend of Zelda version, which was called balls. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah.
And it takes the Zelda music you know and love and remixes it. And dude, sometimes when I'm on my Switch, I genuinely just go over to it, put it on for a second, and leave it on the menu screen just to hear that opening, because the stuff they've done with the music is just incredible. I
love stuff like that. Like I really do.
Yeah, me too, man. I really wish Nintendo will license out their music or their video games a bit more, just so that can happen more.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a dream?
It's one every now and again I check on Spotify. I'm like, please let it be there. Please let it be there. But it's never on Spotify.
You get like a lot of piano-y cover things, don't you, of Nintendo music. They seem to, for some reason, be okay with that. Or they might not be okay with that, actually. Maybe they don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's only so much. Yeah, they can't really do anything about that.
But yeah, no, the Zelda music, I mean, that's forever impaled in my head. I've just played the early games so many times.
Yeah. Have you seen any of Cadence of Hyrule?
No.
So it's a rhythm game where you got to move around on beat.
Yeah.
And you attack on beat. If you don't attack on beat, it doesn't work and stuff like that. I would highly recommend just looking up the soundtrack, because it will give you that nostalgia hit, but then it's also like, holy shit, this sounds dope, sort of thing. Like the remixes they do.
It looks like a madness already.
It is so cool. It is so cool. It, like I said, it is one I'm desperate to go on to Spotify, and it just hasn't. Cadence is there. Crypt of the Necrodancer is there.
It's on,
but Cadence isn't.
I've got a link for you. I mean, I know it's no Spotify, but maybe if you sign up to YouTube Premium, that no one's ever going to do, you could listen to this whilst locking your phone.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. As many times as they tell me to. That is the exact video I've listened to so many times.
Yeah.
Like, literally, just listen to that main menu. Oh, boy.
I'm going to keep this open so that I can...
You absolutely, mate, you should. My other favourite one in that, so you got the main menu music. And then the 17, 18, and 19, the Gerudo Desert ones.
Yeah, I mean, the Gerudo Desert theme is always like a highlight of any Zelda game. So
Yeah. 100%. And then like it starts off a bit, and you got the classic doodaloo, doodaloo, and then it like, oh man, it's just so fucking. I really want to listen to it now. I really want to play it again.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so good.
You should.
I'm probably going to. Have you got any more that stands out to you?
I'll derail you again away from Nintendo.
Do it.
So I was thinking about this, and I guess it kind of comes into sound design a little bit as well. In fact, both of the other two games that I want to mention both fall into a mixture of music into sound design. I'm going to start with one that seems to be a favourite for me to talk about on this podcast, which is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Nice, sure.
Sick game. I really cannot stress that enough. I don't feel like enough people have played it. That's why I'm just always going to sing its praise.
Yeah.
But the music in that, is just something else. So a large amount of it, I believe, is done by an artist or a collection of artists called Heilung, and they make like this. It's like a Norse mix, Pictish, like that sort of oldie style music. The Norsemen are your main enemy in the game, and the Picts are the race that you play, which the Picts are old school Scottish, about as old school as history allows us to remember, with having any level of proof of existence. But yeah, I thought the soundtrack in that game was just amazing. And again, all of the music that was in that game was used to build atmosphere and to make you feel a way. It's like when you're in the caves, when you're in the dark, the sort of like little music motifs that you get that cut through the quiet it just, it locks you in to exactly how they want you to feel in that moment.
Yeah. I think especially with the more subtle bits of music where it's not like, it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's the more subtle, taking a backseat style bits of music that really elevated like story bits for me.
Yeah, no, the atmosphere was just amazing. I'm not going to go for this for too long because this is definitely something I want to talk about in the sound design episode we're going to do next week. So you're going to hear more about this next week if you are interested, because I've got a lot to say about this game in particular. But no, the other one, it's not so much sound designy. It's definitely more musical. Is Dark Souls, the Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
I mean, they again all have amazing orchestral music slapped all over the place. And it's weird, actually. I don't really listen to orchestral music outside of playing it in games, but it seems to be it's the orchestral stuff that really, for me, with games, that like really draws me in.
Yeah. Sure.
A thing that I kind of wanted to pick out, it's an area of the first game that often gets missed. Because, well, at least for old players anyway. I remember my mate said he ran straight past it the first time, never knew it existed, because there's so many optional areas to go in the first game that you can easily miss. So you'll be coming through Blighttown, which is, just jank. Everyone hates Blighttown. There's not a human alive that likes it. And then you come across this tree in the middle of the swamp, and you're like, okay, well, there's a fucking big ass tree. And then you find out you can go inside the tree, and you're like, okay, this is a dead end. And then you roll into the wall because it's an illusionary wall, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, let me follow this. Anyway, you go all the way down, and you wind up in this place called Ash Lake, which is pretty sick.
Okay.
It's an amazing view. There's a shitload of hydras spanning across the path. Yeah, it's mental. You don't see them to begin with. It's only as you like get a bit further round that they see, because that's what Dark Souls does.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this thing with it. The music, when you first get down there, it's like dead silent, and there's just like wind. Again, this is why I said sound design. There's just like the sound of wind and a little bit of water. But if you choose to flick your camera upwards and look up into the sky, you just get this massive choir, just like screaming at you. Screaming is a bad word for it, but singing at you. It's just mental. And then you look back down and it goes away, and then you look back up and there it is again, and you look back down and then it goes away. I mean, that's obviously just really gimmicky, but like, I don't know, there was something about it. I thought it was sick.
Yeah. Is there any, like, when you look up, are you looking at anything, or is it just sky?
No, it's just sky.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know, yeah. It's such a random like mechanic they decided to add to the game.
Yeah.
But
the music in, I mean, all of the Souls games, or all of the FromSoft games for that matter, it adds so much, and it's such a big part of why those boss fights are generally really well renowned.
Yeah,
because it just adds another level. It makes it feel, even if it's only the first boss, it makes it feel like it's like the end.
Man,
boss
I got to that Taurus demon, and I was like, after you get out of the tutorial area, I got to the Taurus demon, and it's like you say, that the music starts, and you're like, oh shit, man, this is gonna be some nuts hard boss. It was.
Yeah.
And it still is. I mean, it's not really. Once you've learned how to deal with him, it's like super simple. But it makes you feel like you've achieved something. I mean, everything about the game makes you feel like you've achieved something, but the music is just another aid to the point that you've achieved something great. Because it's like you say, the score, fantastic. Every single boss. I'd find it really hard to actually sit here and pick out a piece of boss music from a Souls game that I would say is my favourite. To be honest, I don't actually think I could. No,
because they are just so integral to that boss you're fighting.
It's all super situational.
Yeah, Yeah.
But Sif the puppy, the tune for that was pretty.
Oh yeah, I love Sif. I've never actually played that far in, but I know about Sif and the story and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I want to get there one day.
One of these days.
One of them days. I'm also going to talk about a very hard game. I'm going to talk about Cuphead, because Cuphead's music is phenomenal.
Yeah,
it's another one. So for those who don't know, Cuphead's got it's like 1930s, 1940s kind of art style, and its music's the same. His music is of that era of, you know, cartoons and the kind of more, you know, more the light-hearted movies that were about that time, and it aids it so well. They're so incredibly well thought out, because it fits the situation. If you've got one, you know, if there's one where you fight in, what is it? It's a slot machine and something else. I can't remember what the other thing is.
I've still not played the game. I know I've heard the music from the game though, so I'm on board with you here, because the music in it is sick. And
it's fantastic.
It is very silent film reminiscent.
Silent film. That's the word.
The whole aesthetic is very silent film reminiscent, or early.
It is
early, like Mickey Mouse, I guess, as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's based more off of is it Fleischer, I think they're called, who did like Betty Boop.
Really?
Very early on.
I don't really know a lot about cartoonies.
I don't either. It's just I've watched, and I've got like the art book and stuff like that for Cuphead, because I was just so fascinated by it. It just is, again, it's another one of those where it fits perfectly. There's very little dialogue. Actually, there's no dialogue. There's like tiny bits here and there where you interact with the merchant, but otherwise it's a completely silent one, and its music is just so well used and so well crafted, and it just fits the era they're trying to go for so perfectly. It stands on its own wonderfully. I'm so very curious about the TV show that they're going to do. Really into that. I'm really interested to see how that turns out.
Probably going to wind up being solidly child aimed, isn't it? I don't really know, to be honest.
Know.
Like I know some of the bosses are a bit questionable, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those games where you can see how inspired by other games it is. Like it's a gamer's game sort of thing. But like one bit that always stands out in my head is there's a barbershop quartet you can come across where one of them is missing, and once you find one of them, that one that's missing, and bring them back, you can get them to sing.
Oh, nice.
And it always stands out to me, because I remember I was sitting there just listening to it.
It's just a nice little addition.
I kept prompting it. It's all so very cool and so very thought out, and again, it's one of those where there is a theme all the way through, and it just fits perfectly. Yeah. It doesn't feel out of place or anything, and even listening to it, it's one of those where you listen to certain songs on its own, it kind of takes you back to actually playing that bit, and you could, you remember how, stupidly difficult it was to beat X boss, whether it be like Flowey, or the Flower, or whatever it's called, sort of thing. The last one I want to talk about is Portal and Portal 2, because they are just so very good, and so very unique. So
before you get into that real quick, I'm actually going to say, right when we first started talking about soundtracks in games earlier, I said some games I just don't remember the music to.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I remember the Portal song.
Okay, sure.
But I don't remember any of the music in the game.
Okay, interesting.
It could be because I've only ever played them both once, like once each.
Right, okay.
That could be a part.
I've listened to them quite a lot outside of the game as well, just because I love the games so much. I want to keep absorbing myself in them. No, they've got they've got an industrial mechanical sound to them.
Yeah.
But it's not like It's not like Doom, which does a similar thing in terms of being mechanical and industrial, and it's not like any other like futuristic soundtrack that I've heard or played through, sort of thing. It is very unique, and it does it. I've said it a lot in this, but it just fits so well.
Yeah.
Because of the setting of the game. And I think it helps it is coming from the Half-Life, well, not necessarily the actual Half-Life devs, but, people in the same place. And I always remember it when, like, you're walking into a room, and then it all just kind of starts, and it starts rising and rising and rising and rising and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just a very it's not even necessarily where there's a specific point. It is just kind of the overall for me. It is just one I really, really enjoy and think.
Oh no, that's great.
And again, that could just be because of how much I enjoy the game, not necessarily how good the soundtrack is on its own.
But I mean that certainly plays into your, if it's a part of the enjoyment overall, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
I just can't remember. Sure. I'm trying to think of it now. Like, I can remember Still Alive. I can remember the song. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the actual soundtrack to it, like I really like trying to think, but I just can't.
I mean, to be fair, Still Alive is fantastic. Yeah. I love Still Alive.
So I think the last thing I want to mention, I was going to try and slide into it earlier, but because it would have fit when we was talking about Spider-Man, but it's the Batman games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, again, there's so much source for Batman. The Batman soundtracks have always been pretty sick. I mean, I even quite liked the old Adam West TV show soundtrack.
Yeah, me too.
There's nothing wrong with that music. But no, the Arkham games, they just nailed it, didn't they? It sounds and feels
absolutely.
like Batman is everything I expect a Batman soundtrack to sound like. And it enhances the story. It's the music in that is definitely story enhancing. Yeah, I think they did just a solid all round job.
100%. It like we said earlier, but like Spider-Man, where it feels like it would fit right in with the movies. It's almost overlooked because it just feels like a Batman.
Exactly.
Thing. It is so seamlessly in there. It doesn't sound like it's trying to imitate another Batman tune. It doesn't sound like.
Well, how are you going to imitate Hans? Someone asked me to do that once.
Yeah, for my Batman. Which one was it? It was Arkham Origins.
Well, I can't even remember, man. But I had.
Pretty sure it was Arkham.
I had mad fun making that, and it was.
Asylum.
Yeah, it was really good actually. Because I was listening to like the game soundtracks, so this is probably why it's like been in my head as something to mention anyway. Because I did spend a lot of time like listening over the various Batman tunage over the years. To be able to make that piece for you. So I
still love that.
I love it as well. I keep thinking I should go back to it because I got that little Joker segment in it, and I've always wanted to expand that into its own thing, because it was probably my favorite part of it. But But it was just a lot of fun, like seeing the connections between the music in the Arkham games and the music that was in the Dark Knight films. Because it is fairly similar. Like, I'd say the Arkham boys did the right thing in being inspired by Zimmer for the soundtrack for the games, because his direction for it, with the massive French horns in the background all the time, like, just as a recurring thing. They imitated the soul fantastically.
They did a fantastic job with it. And like I said, it's so seamless. It almost goes unnoticed because it is just Batman.
Yeah.
It is just a Batman theme. It's not even. It almost never crosses your mind. Yeah, there's not really much else to say. It's just
yeah.
they are that good. It just
sounds sick.
They are just quintessentially Batman. And it's one of those where you don't. It's not like the Spider-Man ones where they've got like a licensed song. Really, there was a Panic at the Disco song in one of them. I remember listening to, but it is just Batman. It feels because a lot of the actors and writers came over from the TV show, the animated show.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was the same with the music as well, because it does feel very similar.
I just think like Batman's just got a solid like direction these days. It doesn't get played around with very much, and actually I think that's the right thing to do, because it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be messed around with.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it is just one, again, that does get better and better with each game as well.
Yeah.
It never like plateaus out. You're hearing, some of the same songs and the same bits of music, but they are, some of them are like a bit remixed and, updated and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah.
And then like in Arkham City, it's just like the pinnacle of, Arkham City, I'd say, was the pinnacle.
Yeah,
of it, to be fair.
I'd say so as well.
Arkham Knight is fantastic, but it does have its shortfallings. I'm just trying to find out if it was. I don't think I'm going to find out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also worked on other Batman projects, because, like you said, so much of Batman does kind of cross section with each other. A lot of the voice actors are the same.
Well, that's just because of how passionate like people are about Batman as a character. It's a bit of a madness. In it. Like I feel like DC is very, at least for me, is very like brushed aside. It's like, fuck off DC. I will keep Batman every day, but the rest of DC.
Yeah,
for
I think
me
other than Batman,
just go.
Yeah, same. Like I said before, I kind of like Green Lantern. I think he's a cool character, but it's not Batman.
I think he's a bitch.
Wait, which one? There's loads. Yeah, which is also part of the problem. There are loads of them. There's one Batman.
Else is a bitch. Superman's a bitch. Wonder Woman's a bitch.
Yeah, I'm not a...
Fucking Flash. Flash is definitely a bitch. Aquaman's a bitch, but Jason Momoa is sound. So.
Yeah, Jason Momoa is sick. I love Jason Momoa. I mean, there's good reason that Batman has a plan to deal with each one of them.
Yeah, because they're all bitches. And there's your segue.
I like it.
Oh dear.
Well, I mean, on that, DC are all bitches apart from Batman.
Thank you.
Wait, so what about the rest of the Bat family? Do you like the Bat family, or is it just Batman?
Some of them are bat bitches, aren't they? I mean, Nightwing's a solid bat bitch. Batwoman, Barbara Gordon, she's a fucking quality character.
She's awesome.
I actually quite like Damian. Damian
Me
Wayne
too.
is.
I was going to say Damian.
Yeah, he's fine, and naturally, our boy Alfred is literally the Don.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely is.
Well, they should definitely rewrite Batman into some sort of mafia family type thing, with Alfred just being a Don.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, we just had the ninja one.
Mate, I actually really did. You watch it?
I haven't yet. I've heard a couple of people say that it's really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It encapsulates everything you expect an anime to be like, of being like just completely over the top and absurd and mental. And just does it with Batman, and it's sick. I mean, the Joker for Batman, is it called? I think it's literally called Batman Ninja, isn't it? Or Ninja Batman, something like that, something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, the Joker in it is even more mental than he was before. So
Batman Ninja.
Yeah.
Who plays the Joker?
Oh God knows.
Tony Hale. What else has he done? No, have you read Gotham by Gaslight?
Nope.
So that's set in like Jack the Ripper times.
Yeah.
and it's set around that. And they were actually gonna. They're fairly early. There's fairly early leaked footage of that game, and it just looks so cool. But it never happened in the end. It never came out, which is such a shame.
Christ, the art style looks sick.
It is dope. It is awesome. Yeah, I'm quite gutted that we never got that.
Yeah, no, that looks
because it just looks so sick. So I fully think they could do a Mafia era.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not too difficult to transport Batman somewhere. I mean, they took him to the future and that was shit, but in fact, future Batman's wank. He's not even a bitch. He's just he's just wank. What?
No, I'm totally with you. Totally with you. I liked watching it as a kid, but then I tried watching it again recently, and it's not the one.
He's a bitch. Anyway, I'm done dogging on DC.
It's fine. Next week we'll call some Marvel characters bitches to even it out.
Yeah, there's plenty of Marvel bitches out there.
Oh,
but ultimate villain DC has the fucking Condiment King. He is not a bitch. He is not a bitch.
No, who wants to get sprayed with like mustard and ketchup?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a horrible one. He is the absolute worst. He's the apex of their villains. Terrible person. But yeah, on that, let us know what video game soundtracks or specific bits of music stand out to you. I think for me personally, I love one that always gives me tingles and gives me goosebumps is listening back to one. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's one of the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailers, and it's got a great bit of music in there, and it always gets me. I can never remember what it's called because it's got a fun. It's got a weird long name. I can't remember off the top of my head. But let us know what games you think have got incredible soundtracks and which ones are your favourite. And next week we will be taking this a bit more granular, I think is safe to say. Because we'll be looking or talking about games with great sound design. So, like you said last week, we can just talk about Dead Space for an hour and a half.
Yes, I've avoided mentioning Dead Space at all today.
Yeah.
But next week, I mean, there's going to be some Dead Space.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Dead Space. It's going to be a lot of Resident Evil. Yeah. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be
just before we end up, because I've just got to chuck this out there because it upsets me that I forgot to mention it. A Plague Tale Innocence soundtrack, amazing. Go and listen to it.
Oh, okay. I am yet to play that. It's on my list. But yeah, let us know which soundtracks you enjoy, which ones you think are the best, and leave us some nice comments. Otherwise, leave us a good hit that little thumbnail. Not the thumbnail. God, I'm tired. Hit the little thumb down there. Give us a thumbs up if you like this one. Share it with your friends and do subscribe. We're doing quite well on the channel. We are fairly regularly getting new subscribers, which I'm very happy with. Our video's doing fairly well on the whole. Granted, we have put out quite a lot recently, which I am also very happy about. Very happy that I've got a fair bit of content coming out. I will have a Resident Evil first impressions, and then Mass Effect probably first impressions coming out the week after that as well, when that comes out. 4 weeks in a row we've got brand new games to play around with. It's a lot coming out after a fairly dead run between like the launch of the new consoles. So yeah, we will of course see you again soon. Yeah, I think that's everything. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like there's something else that's going to come out that I can't quite remember.
Another game? Or another video?
I can't remember. There is something. There is definitely something.
No one knows. Do you know what? I might send you a first impressions of what I think of Village.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely talk about that if you've been able to play any of it by next.
I've not played it yet, but it's going to be dank. It's going to be spicy.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's already getting good, some good feedback and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that a bit more next week when we've both hopefully played a bit. Like I said, my first impressions will be out where I play through a bit, and hopefully I'll get scared, because I enjoy being scared from time to time. It's good fun. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching or listening wherever you do so. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember to join us again next week where we go into video game audio design. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Have a lovely day, and I will talk to you next week. Gonna be lovely.